Everybody, and welcome to Against the Fence. This is the biggest and baddest and bestest MMA fan channel in the world, and this is the place to be if you're obsessed and passionate about the UFC. So if that sounds a bit like for you, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, because man, this is an absolute blast over here on this channel. Now today, we're going to be recapping the events from UFC 273 this past weekend. We're going to take a look at the fighter rankings from UFC.com and see what's updated. And then lastly, we're going to just basically talk about what's going on social media, what's been going on the news, and things like that. So if you enjoy that, then don't go anywhere. All right, so let's get into a recap then. So first up on the card, we had Mark Madsen defeating Vince Pichel via unanimous decision with two judges scoring at 30-27. And then lastly, second up, we had Mackenzie Dern defeating Tisha Torres via split decision. Some of you may have scored out for Torres, but it was two judges scoring at 29-28 in favor of the Brazilian. Then third up, which some may say it was the people's main event, we had Hamzat Chimaev defeating Gilbert Burns via unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board there. And then in the co-main event, the Bantamweight title fight, of course, big shoes to fill. And I mean, look, Aljamain Sterling got the split decision win against Peter Yan and now can be crowned the people's champion as well. And what a show that he had. And that was, two judges scoring at 48-47 in favor of Aljamain Sterling. Then in the main event, Alexander Volkanovski defeated and got the only finish on the main card as well. He TKO'd Chen Sun Jung, the Korean zombie, in round number 4. And that is your quick recap of the main card. And of course, we had the likes of Ian Gary picking up decision wins. We had that Alex Hernandez, who's an absolute beast in the prelims as well. You know, he grinded out a unanimous decision win as well. And look, you know, some cracking prelims, cracking night of fights all together. But let's go into then the rankings. Let's take a look, see what's changed and what potential matchups may lie for the winners of the main card. All right, I'm going to go over here. And then first up, we had Mark Madsen defeating Vince Pichel. If you are joining us in the chat, do say hello. I think the chat is working for me. It's on the side button there. But yeah, do say hello. Let me know it's working. We had some technical difficulties on that front so far. But yeah, give us a buzz, Ash, if you're about. Let's go into Mark Madsen then. You know, he picked up the decision win against Vince Pichel. And I thought Vince Pichel was going to be a very tough competitor for Mark Madsen. Guys both a similar age, that kind of thing. Mark Madsen moves to 13-0 now as a professional. And, you know, could we see more of him this year? I think we need to see more of him this year because he's only been fighting once a year quite recently. So, you know, I'd like to see him against some tougher competition. I've been in to and fro in. If you watch the watch along, you probably would have remembered I said that, you know, is it too early to kind of push him towards a top 15 kind of guy, or do you think he should be pushing towards a top 15 kind of guy? But, you know, no movements there. He's not in lightweight rankings as of yet. You know, it could be on the horizon for someone like Marco Madsen. I think he needs to be tested. Eventually, but not quite yet, in my opinion. You know, I've got a few people. Yes, Taylor Young in the chat. He says, "Wagwan, Taylor, how you doing, my man? You know, we've missed you during the pay-per-view. How did you find the fights? You know, let me know who your standout was on this main card, or just in the prelims as well, if you want. That's not a problem, of course, as well. Yeah, two options I've got for Marco Madsen. First up, I've got Jim Miller. I did say this at the watch along. I think Mark needs a test. And, you know, Jim is sort of 1 year older than Mark. So both guys in similar age. You know, Jim's very experienced. However, the only downfall of picking this fight is the fact that Paishel beat Jim Miller a few fights ago. I don't know. I just stylistically, I just kind of like it, I think Mark Madsen does need to kind of continue on for now, taking on these guys who are veterans of the sport, because, they're very similar in age. But he's not, blowing us back with his performances, really. I did think it was quite a kind of dominant win against Vince Paishel, I guess. He was in cruise control the whole time, but nothing really blow your hair back, or in his case, blow your eyebrows back. But Asher reckons the Spanish wrecking ball. Yeah, I possibly, because look, you got to be thinking that Marco Madsen sort of hovering around just outside of the top 15 of the lightweight division, and of course, your Spanish wrecking ball Joel Alvarez is no longer in the rankings. He's slipped out, I believe. So my choice is Drew Dober as well. I think Drew Dober's a really good one for Marco Madsen. He's someone who sort of, like I said, drifting out of that top 15. He's recently lost to big guys like Makhachev and Brad Riddell, who are in the top 15. So, and he's coming off that impressive win against Terence McKinney, weathered the storm in that fight. So, I think that's a really good challenge for both guys, ideally. Taylor Young said, I had said on Twitter that I thought Khamzat would win, but that it would be tough, which proved to be true. I was quite impressed with Khamzat's striking, particularly his stance switching and jab. He needs to stop chasing finishes, though. Yeah, no, spot on. I mean, we're going to get into that in just a sec, Taylor, on Khamzat. Yeah, some very interesting things. I'm very back and forth on his performance, really. But we'll get into it in just a second. Stay tuned. I do promise you that for sure. But yeah, if you like the idea of Drew Dober taking on Marco Madsen, well, let us know in the comments. What would you prefer? Would you prefer Marco Madsen taking on the likes of Jim Miller? Or would you prefer the likes of Drew Dober? Or if you can think of another option for me, do let me know. I'm very much open to options as well. Yeah, so as for Vince Paishel, though, he's very strong. He's going to stick around. He's only 14-3, Let's just dial that back. He's quite old in himself. He's a similar age to Marco Madsen, but look, he's only got 3 losses on his record. So, he's been into the game a little bit late. But I'd rather see him maybe fight the likes of Clay Guida, someone else who's ton of experience. Going to move a lot on the feet. Might be a little bit difficult for Vince Paishel. I think he'd look quite good on the ground, maybe against Clay, if he does decide to go down that route, if he does get matched up with Clay. My other option, Leonardo Santos, who's just lost to Clay Guida, funnily enough. He's 18-5 as a professional. He has lost his last 2, though. And can cause problems on the ground for Paishel. So I think that would test him in that kind of area. And also on the feet, when you look at it as well, because Santos is very rangy. He's very tall as well for the division. So, yeah, I think that'd be an interesting one for Paishel. Paishel likes to come forward. He likes to get in your face a little bit and mix things up and really use that strength of his. Yeah, Taylor Young agreeing. He said he'd like to see the Drew Dober fight as well for Marco Madsen. Man, yeah, I'd say put it on a fight night. I think Mark Madsen needs to get back onto winning ways, continue that win streak of his, and go have a bright 2022. I think because he is very promising, and I want to see him fight the likes of Arman Sarukian and wrestlers like that, or even Mateus Gamrot, for example, in the division. I'm just not, blown away by his performances as of late. Okay, that's enough on the fighter rankings then. Not much has really changed. Dustin Poirier's gone up 1, which is very strange. Has he really gone up 1? Bizarre. Okay, that's what it says on here. That might be a little bit of a late one. Okay, well, nevertheless, let's move on to Mackenzie Dern, shall we? And Tisha Torres. That fight was insane. Yes, Kajo, he's in the chat. Yes, my man. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. Appreciate your feedback as well earlier on in the Discord. Those of you who are new to the channel and just join our Discord. It's pretty Pretty good chat in there, throughout. Whenever you want to pop in and spread your thoughts and on all things mixed martial arts, really. But let's go on to Taylor Young's comments then. He said Volk was on point, Dern's jiu-jitsu was mad, and Aljo proved a lot of people wrong. I mean, look, man, Mackenzie Dern, you guys know, I love watching Mackenzie Dern, right? That fight was a tough fight. That second round was just mad, all right? Literally had us on edge. We thought she was going to get the submission finish. Tisha Torres, man, is just so tough. She grin and bared it, She was like... like proper trying to fight off those submission attempts. But what's kind of interesting about those, I think there might be some mixed feelings about that fight on which way it should have gone. I personally thought that Mackenzie Dern done enough in the first round to maintain that win. Torres definitely, I think, stole the third round in my eyes. But that first round was kind of key, similar to the Sterling and Peter Yan fight. That first round was key. The significant strikes is what's kind of interesting about that first round. This is overall, funnily enough. We've got 58 of 164 for Mackenzie Dern and 78 of 126 for Tisha Torres in that fight. Like, do you think it was a robbery? It's hard to really tell. I mean, when you look at that first round, you got significant strikes. Dern picks up 28 of 80, and then Torres only got 35. So is there an issue with the judging there? Overall control in that first round was 43 seconds for Mackenzie Dern. I think she was kind of, the aggressor, really plodding forward. I thought her striking looked pretty good, I must admit. I think if you look at the head strikes, Mackenzie Dern landed more, but then Tisha Torres used a lot of strikes to the legs and the body overall. So I think that's maybe what impressed the judges most in that fight, along with the octagon control and aggression, of course, that she showed in that first round. Second round, obviously Dern, she controlled basically the whole round. But then Tisha Torres, I think, pretty much pulled it back in the third. Interesting fight. I loved it. Got some options though for both girls. Let's catch up with these guys. Kajo says, so close to locking in those submissions, man. It was absolute crazy, man. I think Mackenzie Dern, she's clearly got a lot to prove. I think she's got a lot to build. You can see her striking is really improving under Jason Perillo. She's doing a lot of work there. But the wrestling element is really what she's lacking at the moment. And if she really fine-tunes that, she can definitely become a champion in this strawweight division. I really believe that. Didn't really see much wrestling from her in that whole fight, really. She grabbed a hold of Tisha and basically pulled guard. It's a typical sort of jiu-jitsu's way of getting the floor to the mat. We didn't really see her utilize any sort of single leg or, body lock transitions in the fight. What's up, Dame? Oh, my man. He said, said Hamzat best. Hamzat beat number 2 and got 3. How does that make sense? Yeah, Damo, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that in just a sec. We'll plod on through to the pickings for this, for the second fight on the card, the strawweight division. Interesting opinions. I know, it's crazy, right? You got one hand, you had Taito Ivasa defeating Derek Lewis and just taking that spot straight away. But for Hamzat, that's not the case. Maybe we'll get into a bit of a debate in a sec. Taylor Young says, I think Dern deserves the win. I wouldn't have been that shocked if it went the other way. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that coming up the decision as well. I think Tisha Torres did a really good job in that fight. And look, Tisha Torres now has been coming off. She comes off really close losses, man. She has really close fights. He said also. Taylor says people scream robbery too quickly and easily. Every close fight is a robbery nowadays. Yeah, it is. You've really got to maybe watch the fight back another time, a second or third time, so you really kind of gauge that fight. Because look, you can look for all kinds of things. You can go into this fight knowing that you've picked Mackenzie Dern to win, and you're just constantly looking at Mackenzie Dern and seeing what she's doing, but you're not necessarily paying attention to what the opponent's doing. So, you can fall into that kind of thing. Look, we're all victims of it. We are all victims of it. We were all victims of that in the Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz fight. That's a prime example of that. But as for what's next for these ladies, for me, I've only got one for Mackenzie Dern. I said it in the watch along. I think Yan Jinan is probably the better fit. However, I think she is due a fight quite soon. She's quite slim for the division. She's very good on her feet, though. Potentially could be someone that Mackenzie Dern is able to take down. I think she's going to need to take her down, personally, because Yan Jinan is so good with her kicks. She's so good at utilizing her distance. I think she would be able to pick Mackenzie Dern apart at range, which is completely different, opposite to Tecia Torres. Tecia Torres is very small. She's, got small arms. She has very tight kickboxing, so she needed to be in quick with Mackenzie Dern. But yeah, the timing was a little bit difficult for her in this fight. She had some successes to the body and things like that. But yeah, I think Yan Jinan will be a real problem for Mackenzie Dern. And look, I wouldn't underlook it. I'd imagine Mackenzie Dern will be the favorite in that fight, of course. But look, I wouldn't count out Yan Jinan, I must admit. But look, like I said, we got to see some improvement in the wrestling game of Mackenzie Dern, Personally, I think with Dern, it's difficult to see her get matched up with the top three in that division. Do you guys agree with that? Because when you look at it, like, Carla Esparza, she's fighting for the belt, heavy wrestler, could nullify. I think it would be a good one for Mackenzie Dern. Obviously, if she loses to Rose in the next month, I think it would be a good one for Mackenzie Dern, because Carla Esparza is very heavy top pressure. Weili Zhang, very good. She's been developing her own wrestling with Henry Cejudo. She's now going to be fighting the strawweight queen, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So, that fight's going to be fireworks, no doubt, again for the second time. So yeah, I don't want to see Mackenzie Dern fight for about any time soon just yet. But as for Tecia Torres, I've only got one. It's kind of a bit of a logjam in the strawweight division at the moment. Tecia Torres has fought a lot of the girls in there. She's won a few, she's lost a few. There's one that kind of stands out to me, and that's I could be saying this wrong. Verna Jandiroba. She's another grappler though. Like, you want to throw her against another grappler, see how she does again. I know, but this is literally the only option. But that's only if Jandiroba defeats Angela Hill, which that fight is very, very soon. I think UFC on ESPN 36, which is in next month, literally a month away. So yeah, I mean, timing wise, that would make sense for Tecia Torres. Because, other than that, Amanda Lemos, she hasn't fought before, is a little bit lower than her. Amanda Ribas as well. When you look at it, she's just one below her. But both of these girls are fighting at flyweight. So, it's kind of a bit awkward up in there at the moment. We see the changes here. Mackenzie Dern up to 4th, of course. Amanda Ribas has moved up to 8. That's bizarre. Random one. I guess Michelle Watson's due a fight, really. Got to get that girl a fight. Ash saying, yeah, Dern definitely got the win. Good matchup. Yeah. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Okay, all right. Let's move on then to the people's main event. Khamzat Chimaev. Man, phenomenal performance. A gritty, tough war against Gilbert Burns. That round one, but, he took Burns down quite early on. He gained sort of around 1 minute and 55 seconds control time. Scored the knockdown as well. Some would argue it would be like a 10-8 perhaps. But look, Burns kept coming forward in his game as always and landed some really good shots as well on Chimaev. He came out that second round, rolling with the punches, sort of adjusted things, started getting his time in, and was having success on the feet. Chimaev looked like he was about to slow down a bit. He ate like two big hands towards the end of that second round. And man, that literally, so those two right hands could have put anybody out. Like he sponged them off big time. And then in the third round, it was just complete war back and forth. One of these guys definitely wanted to come home with a win. Chimaev just won it basically on aggression and octagon control, to be honest. Let's have a look. We'll see what Damo says about. Oh, not Damo. Okay. Let's see what. Yeah. Okay. Let's go with Damo's comment. He said, "Oh no. Colby 2-2 in his last 4, and he's number 1. He's beat one contender. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much the only option, really. Well, not other than Usman, of course. Only other option for Khamzat. Yeah, I was iffing and ahhing about that fight, really. The fight itself and Khamzat's performance, we did see a lot from it, We saw him take damage, and we saw how good his chin was. So I was questioning before, what was behind that beard of his? He could be chinny, but we definitely clarify that he's not chinny at all. Now, of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that the likes of Usman couldn't put him out. I think Usman could very well put him out. It wasn't the smartest performance from Khamzat, really. I believe it said that his corner were basically shouting at him at the end of that round 2, being like, look, you need to not get sucked into this brawl. Like, you need to stick behind your jab this third round. Be smart, be composed. Just don't get sucked into that brawl. And, I think he learned a lot coming out of this fight, sorry. And look, I'd hope that Khamzat doesn't get sucked into old habits and is a bit more smarter this next fight around, whether it be Colby or KAMARU Usman, whatever the guys say, whatever the UFC want to make. So as for that Colby Covington fight, look, I think stylistically it is a very good one. Both guys can score takedowns. Are we going to see it? That's the question in that kind of fight. Or is it just going to be a stand-up war? Because both guys, it's same with the Gilbert Burns fight, right? He shot him for that takedown. He did get some kind of control on Burns, but Burns was able to kind of get back to his feet, in which we've not seen in a Khamzat fight before. So, I think from then on, that was when Khamzat didn't really... He wasn't desperate at taking him down after that. I'd be interested to see if Colby would go towards a wrestling game against Chimaev. I think Colby can outscore Chimaev on the feet. I really do. He's got phenomenal cardio to go with it as well. But at the same time, I think in that fight, Chimaev would probably score the more significant blows, right? And the wow factor moments. So I think it would be a bit of a war. But the question is would it be a 5-round fight? Would it be a headliner as well? They could do it on a pay-per-view. We've seen co-main event 5-round wars, haven't we? They could very well do it just for that occasion. I mean, look, it's something that comes up a lot now, isn't it? And be quite frequent. Taylor Young says, feed Jorge to Khamzat. Oh, man. Look, you never know. You literally never know. I mean, Masvidal's a draw. I wouldn't be surprised. You're just not surprised in the UFC these days. I don't think it makes sense, of course. I don't want to see that. I want to see Khamzat, fight for either Colby or Khamzat. Now, at the weekend, I did kind of think, look, no, it's got to be Usman straight away because the UFC just can't mess around with Khamzat. They need to make this Usman fight straight away and really kind of build it. But doing the fan cam and speaking to Jay at the weekend, he had a really good point. And he kind of said, look, if you match him up with Colby, he's only going to get better from fighting Colby. And it's a good point. Why wouldn't you just have Khamzat be better going into the KAMARU Usman fight? It makes sense. Like, I mean, it kind of would. So because of that reason, I could sway against it, but I think it would be a very, very big risk for the UFC. Taylor Young says, I don't doubt he can compete with Colby and Usman, though. Ooh, so Taylor's going for Colby in this. He also says, personally, I think it's a little early for Colby. Do you mean in terms of like getting matched up with people? To be honest, I think Colby is going to sit for a bit like a fight, a money fight. Khamzat's going to be that money fight, or it's going to be for a belt. You know, I just think he's going to be very stubborn at the top of that welterweight division. I really do. That's for my opinions. Anything else, guys? Feel free to pop in the chat regarding this fight, because look, like I said, it was kind of a little bit like the people's main event in some respects. There was a lot of talking points coming from this fight, but you know, we got to move on. We got to talk about the other guys as well. Let's move on then. Let's move on from this fight to the bantamweight division. And still, look, with no question about it, he is the champ. We can't deny it now as fans. We can't call him a paper champ. He's coming to fight week believing he's the champ, and he put on a phenomenal performance. Look, you know, the winner of the first round was the deciding factor in that fight, and Sterling landed more strikes in that round. Now, yes, Jan may have looked like he was the aggressor and coming forward, but look, that's what counts first. You know, the striking aspect counts first in the judges' eyes, and if you pressing forward but not landing the more strikes, then you know you're not going to win the round, are you? You know, and takedown and control basically sealed rounds 3 and 4 for Sterling. And we did kind of say this in the build-up. We said that Sterling needed to make sure that he won that third round, because we know that Peter Yan likes to take that first round off to really download the data. And, you know, it was definitely a round that Sterling could outscore Yan. But, you know, the cardio was going to be the important factor in whether or not he can maintain the same amount of pace and dish out, you know, more strikes and get the takedown on Yan in that third round. And look, he even proved it, you know? He even proved it. Go back to a comment from Taylor Young. He says, early for Khamzat to fight Colby. And I think Khamzat is capable of competing with Colby. And he's, oh, okay, right, I see. Okay, then. So would you say that Khamzat has what it takes to go the distance with both of those guys? You know, in the chat, if you'd like to see Khamzat fight both of these guys, how do you think he would fare against both guys? List them off. You know, how would he fare against Colby? How would he fare against Usman? Like, how would you see those fights going? Let us know, and we'll head back to it in just a sec. But yeah, back onto Aljamain Sterling then. What's next for him after this flawless performance? Look, I mean, we talked about it. TJ Dillashaw, you know, he was there at the event. He was calling it on. I think TJ will be the quicker fighter on the feet. Very similar to Marlon Moraes. When you look at Aljamain's previous people that he's fought, and you look at who's quicker, TJ Dillashaw, Marlon Moraes, very similar footwork. Well, I say TJ's got better footwork than Marlon Moraes. I mean, clearly, you know. But like in terms of how quick he can throw strikes and things like that, it's very similar. And look, Marlon Moraes he knocked out Aljamain Sterling. So look, you know, but the thing is Sterling's height and size will cause problems. You know, similar to the way that Corey Sandhagen did for TJ Dillashaw, you know? I think it'd be a very exciting fight. And of course, Aljamain Sterling's got a lot better wrestling than Corey Sandhagen. And jiu-jitsu. So that fight is going to be tasty. I'd imagine that Aljamain Sterling would be favorite in that fight. You know, when you've got TJ Dillashaw coming off of, you know, a knee surgery, he's been out all that time as well before the Corey Sandhagen fight. It's not looked good for him. And is he going to come back the same? That's the question. Either enough, I think we're going to get that fight. We're probably going to get that fight. Let's go, TJ, says Ash. Ash is all for that. Of reading the round crazy. Wait, Jan, first round. Oh, so Ash says he scored the first round for Jan. I know. Go watch back and watch it. It was very difficult. It was very hard to call at that time, I must admit. Like, I couldn't put a name to it. I probably should have watched that first round back coming into this, I must admit. Maybe I will at some point, hopefully during the day tomorrow, just to kind of process it and see who I think actually won it. But, the striking numbers don't really lie when you look at the stats. Taylor Young says, I think Colby would be the tougher of the two for Hamzat. That pace is nasty. Yes, good point. Yeah, it's a good point. And not only that, when you look at it, I guess, if Colby is able to put a pace on Hamzat's going to get drawn into a brawl again, and potentially tire. But Colby's got to be like on his A game. His defense has got to be like on point because look, Hamzat can crack, I must admit. Yeah, no, we I agree with you. But yeah, just one option for TJ Dillashaw for Aljamain Sterling. As for PDR though, again mirroring what we said in the watch along, got one option. Merab, man, let's see it, man. Let's see Merab versus PDR. The question is can Merab get the takedown on PDR? And keep him down because Merab is, he's got a very strong frame. He's very physical. But he's also an inch smaller than PDR, So maybe PDR can get out of those exchanges and those scrambles. It'd be very interesting to see. Obviously, you'd favour PDR on the feet against Merab. But look, it's another fight for the Sarah Longo team, right? Another fight against PDR. It'll be the third time in a row. Near enough. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like that fight. How do you guys like that fight as well? Because other than that, looking at the division, for Peter Yan, it's a matter of, is Jose Aldo going to get paired up with Dominic Cruz? Yes or no? I'd imagine so. I imagine that's the case. But then at the same time, you've got Marlon Vera taking on Rob Font. That's very soon. So maybe he could get the winner of that. Yeah, I'd imagine that would probably be the case. Yeah. Other than that, I like the Merab fight. But obviously, Merab's coming back from shoulder surgery as well. So we still don't really know what the time frame is for Merab. We'll have to find out. Yeah. But I think there's the only two options really for PDR. When was the last time Jans went around? Yeah, good point. Yep. Yeah. Yes, Christopher Rampasad. Yo, what's up? Where have you been, my friend? What did you make of the Aljamain Sterling performance? Let us know before we move on. And which fights you want to see getting paired up next? That's what we're all about in the Aftermath show over here. Can't stand TJ, says Taylor Young. Yeah, I could probably see why. But he's exciting to watch nonetheless. He's getting on a little bit though. That's the question. That's the problem. I don't know. He's entertaining. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. Okay, so let's wrap this up with the Bantamweight division. Let's move on to the Featherweight division. Man, Alex Volkanovski kind of blew us away a little bit. I was kind of expected. For me, a flawless performance nonetheless. I think I'd put a round 2 TKO. Some of us put round 1, some of us put round 2. He longed it out a little bit. He played with his food. He was landing those right hands over the top of the Korean Zombie's jab. And look, man, I just think that in the end of the day, Chen Sun-jung's a little bit slow on the feet. And I think that's kind of played into Volkanovski's game a little bit. And really just allowed him to get his shots off, and there were solid shots as well. Chris said, I just came to see what y'all doing. I gotta go now. Oh man, well, at least thanks for tuning in though, man. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully we'll chat with you very soon indeed, and hopefully we can discuss the fights this weekend with you, and hopefully see you then. In a bit. Taylor Young says, I was very confident that Volk would win. Picked Korean Zombie in hopes of an upset, though. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a bit of the what if factor going in for Korean Zombie. he wasn't originally the person that was paired up to fight Volkanovski. It was like, can Chen Sung-jung get Volkanovski to the ground? Because if he was able to take his back, then it could be very dangerous. Because he's very good at, one, taking the back and at least applying submissions in that back mount as well. I think he's got quite a few submissions in that area. If I just have a little look-see now. Yeah, so he's got 8 submissions on his resume. And when you even look at it, you got Darce chokes in there. You've got that twister against Lema Garcia, which is like arguably the best submission you'll ever see. Triangle chokes. A lot of triangle chokes. Very good off his back as well. Reverse armbar, rear naked choke. So, yeah, man, he's got it in his locker. And it was that what-if factor. But, look, everywhere else on the feet, keeping it on the feet, avoiding any sort of takedowns from Korean Zombie. It was all day for Volkanovski, in my opinion. There's only one option really for him now. There's only one option. Let's give us this Max Holloway fight. Let's settle it once and for all. I want to see it. I thought Max got robbed in one of those fights. Man, it doesn't matter how many times you rewatch it. I think he won at least one. And look, man, let me know if you guys are willing to watch that fight as well. There's a lot of options for Volk. There's a lot of things that have been talking post-fight, but we're going to get into them in just a sec. All of those options. So stay tuned. The best is blessed, baby, says Taylor Young. Yes, indeed. As for Chen Sung-jung, though, there's 3 options. Look, I think for him up there, when you look at the rankings, he has dropped down to number 5. Behind him, you got Arnold Allen, you got Josh Emmett, and Calvin Kattar. Sorry, my mind just went blank there. The Calvin Kattar fight. I mean, now he's gone below Calvin Kattar, which is kind of surprising, actually. Look at it. I didn't think that was going to happen. Yeah, probably not going to look likely, is it? Okay. I mean, I think it'd be a good fight. I think it's a very good fight for Calvin Kattar, personally. It's going to be another good one for him to prove himself and prove his striking that's been like flawless against Giga Chikadze in his last outing. So, I think the Korean Zombie's a lot slow on the feet, and I think Calvin can put him away as well. I really do. The Arnold Allen fight, I think, would be very interesting. Again, look, I mean, who knows with Arnold Allen? After that Dan Hooker performance, look, he could do the same to Chen Sung-jung as well. If he just switches that gear and goes berserker mode, didn't think he had it in him. But Arnold Allen's very good, he's a very good mixed martial artist. He can mix everything together very well. He's not like a complete standout in one particular discipline. He's just very good at putting everything together. And, I think him against Chen Sung-jung is a very, very good fight. Maybe it's perfect timing-wise. We see Josh Emmett, I think, would be an interesting one. Josh Emmett's had a few injuries in the past. Who knows where he's at? Some of us want to see Josh Emmett against Calvin Kattar, though, so that could also get paired up. Yeah, it's a bit of a four-way going on here. Like, it's like either of these guys could get paired up next. It's very difficult to tell, but yeah. Out of the 4, if I had to pick for Chen Sung-jung, I think I'd favour his chances maybe against Emmett. I mean, Emmett can knock him dead completely, for sure. But Josh Emmett can also tire as well. So if Jung can keep Emmett at range, maybe get a takedown later on in that fight, he could very well submit Josh Emmett. So that's my thoughts on that. Let me know in the comments section which one of those fights do you want to see Chen Sung-jung fight next, whether it be Calvin Kattar, Arnold Allen, or Josh Emmett. Max goddamn won the second fight. So Taylor Young is with us as well. Absolutely, man. Let us know. Okay. Let's move on then to some socials, because that basically concludes everything in the rankings. All right, let's move on, guys. Boom. All right. Okay. So we're back. First up, all right, is this interesting one about Volkanovski's basically come out after the fight and said, I think we're in a good position to maybe move up, see what happens in this lightweight division title fight at UFC 274. I've shown my levels ahead in this division. Maybe we move up. My thoughts on this, I'd like to see it. 100% want to see it eventually. And I think there's a lot riding on Volkanovski at the moment. He's on a bit of a wave. But he hasn't cleaned out the division, which someone mentioned at the weekend in the chat. You know, we want to see this Max Holloway fight. We maybe even want to see the likes of Arnold Allen get a crack at the belt. We want to see Calvin Kattar maybe move forward beyond that Max Holloway loss, that flawless performance for Max Holloway, the flawless defeat, sorry. And just kind of, you know, just chip away at these top guys that are up and coming. There's a bit of a log jam in that division as well. Look, I'm all for him going on eventually to challenge for the belt, but look, he's got a few wins at least, maybe 2, 3, then we'll see what's up. Because he's only had 3 title defenses. You know, I think it might have been someone on Twitter said it earlier. I think it was Damien. It seems like people just want to jump up real quick, you know, at the moment. We're kind of past the days of just racking up 10 title defenses and then maybe considering it. I mean, of course, it's in the UFC's best interest as well because the fights are going to sell. You know, maybe, like I say, 2 more at max, and then I think we're game for that. I think I would fancy him. But look, who knows who the champion's going to be at that point? I think Charles Oliveira's maybe got 1 or 2 himself to even come before he can consider defending the belt against Volkanovski. Yeah. Ashley's saying, yeah, I think you should win at least 5 or 6 and then get that right to move up. Otherwise, it's not fair. Yeah, I get. Yeah, true. I mean, look, we all can't be Conor McGregor, can we? He hasn't quite got the Conor McGregor star factor. I'm all for him getting as big as he possibly can in Australia. I just can't see him reaching Conor McGregor levels. If you've got Conor McGregor levels, then of course you're going to get a fight in the division above. It's just the way it is, isn't it, man? I mean, look, at the time I was kind of against it, but part of me was like, look, man, it's going to be cool, right? Like, it's going to be cool. Let's see it happen. But yeah, that's my take on it. Let's move on then to the second talking point in Twitter as this... Cool. Let's move on to something. Oh, this screen's frozen. Oh, there we go. We're back up. I'll read it from here. Henry Cejudo has piped up, of course. You probably well know he's back in the USADA testing pool. He's announced it on Twitter. And he says, I know I could beat Alex Volkanovski. I want to become the first 3-division champion in the UFC. Or he could shut up the cringe. It would be a treat for the fans. So look, he's really trying to sell this idea. Man, you retired. You retired for a reason. You stepped away because the money wasn't right. Is the money going to be right now? Probably not. Probably not that much of a jump from when you retired. And look, Volkanovski's even basically replied back to the media as well via the MMA Hour when he was on with Ariel Helwani, and he said, Henry Cejudo still needs to prove himself in the UFC featherweight division. I'm not going to take it too serious. So yeah, maybe, okay, if Cejudo is back in the testing pool, I doubt he's going to make the cut back down to bantamweight again. Like, he's thick enough as it is at the moment. We've seen him the way he looks at the moment, walking around. Probably would like to be featherweight. So who would you guys give Henry Cejudo if he slots back in there? Would you give him the likes of maybe Arnold Allen? Maybe. Would you give him maybe Chen Sun Jung, who's come off a loss? Maybe not. I mean, Cejudo's last outing was a win. I think it was against TJ Dillashaw as well, right? Wasn't that the win? Or did he defend that belt afterwards? I really can't remember. It's been that long ago since the guy fought. Like, come on now. Like, it's not going to happen, is it? Is it going to happen? Is he going to come back? It is all talk. Like, I think there's an element for Cejudo where he wants to kind of be in a spotlight, and if there is an opportunity for him to be in the spotlight, he'll make it happen. And we saw that when the Max Holloway Volkanovski fight was originally made. Like, he put himself out there and says, look, I'm going to come back. I'm going to be in the USADA testing pool. No, it was actually Dominic Cruz, sorry, was his last win. TKO, of course. And look, that was back in 2020, actually. Do you know what? It feels long. He's been away a lot longer than that. Okay, credit where credit's due. But nonetheless, he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight win streak. So yeah, maybe he could face someone who's like Arnold Allen, who I think is on about like 11 at the moment. Yeah, I think that's probably more likely for Henry Cejudo. But yeah, let us know what you think of that of that, guys. Let's move on then to another talking point. We've got this one here. Now, this one kind of got in my grills a little bit because, as you've probably seen, if you do follow me on Twitter, you have seen that I've been a little bit bummed out about people comparing Khamzat to Khabib. Like, you know, this guy's basically saying, hats off to Khamzat Chimaev. There's levels to this game. Khabib never been dropped, never bled, never bruised. Look, man, okay, look. Oh, you want my 50 cents on this? Here's the point, right? Chimaev just defeated the number 2 ranked welterweight in just his 11th professional fight. That's his 5th in the UFC, right? Khabib, on the other hand, his UFC debut was his 17th professional fight. He's had more experience. Like, come on, man. He's had a lot of time to develop a lot of striking defense, developing his own striking as well, and really sort of fine-tune his game. I still think there's a lot more to be seen from Khamzat Chimaev. I really do. Like, he looks like this well-beater, but look, I think he's only going to improve, you know? And he's, 27 years old as well? So much time left. But another point I want to add is, name a high-level grappler that Khabib has fought. Go. Get in the comment section. Who's the other high-level grappler that he fought? Is Edson Barbosa real, like, high level? Not really. You've got Iaquinta, was more of a wrestler. Maybe Gleison Tibau. He's got pretty good grappling, but he's not, like, championship-winning level of grappling, like Gilbert Burns. And some people actually thought that Gleison Tibau beat Khabib. Now, look, I'm not jumping on Khabib's nuts. I like Khabib. I've always admired Khabib. You know, coming up, I knew that one day he was going to be champion. But look, I just don't think that this comparison should be made when Khamzat's so early on in his career and achieved so much. You know, and not only that, when you break the two fighters down and see what's different between the two, Khabib's striking defense is a lot better as well. You know, he would bait you in before shooting those takedowns, make you look vulnerable that way, and then control you on the ground. Whereas in this fight against Burns, you know, and this is where fighter IQ comes in as well. You know, he did get reckless. Chimaev was forced into that brawl, and you know, he allowed himself just too much. You know, he didn't allow. But sorry, what was I going to say? Burns didn't really allow him too much control on the ground either. You know, and that's purely because of how much of a level grappler he is. So Chimaev's got more to come, baby. It's just kind of a little bit unfortunate at the same time that he's maybe going to fight for the belt maybe too soon, in my opinion. But you know, look, can you blame the UFC for putting him up there when he's just ragdolling and destroying people like, you know, Li Jingliang and people like that? Don't get me wrong, I was actually impressed by Chimaev's performance, and it was great to see more of his striking in this fight. But yeah, he did get a little bit reckless in that round, second round. I only think he's going to get better. Connor is a great grappler, says Taylor Young. I'm not sure if you're joking or not, Taylor. I'm not sure if you're joking at all. Damien says Khabib wasn't fighting the number 2 in the world in his 11th fight. Yeah. No, he wasn't. Taylor said nothing but respect for Khabib, but it's so annoying that anytime a champion or prospect faces adversity, all you hear is that Khabib was invincible. And I know. It is a little bit frustrating. Yeah, and look, it's got me under the grills as well. Damien says Khamzat hasn't hit his prime yet. Exactly. Spot on. And look, back to your point about Conor being a great grappler, Taylor. I think he was good. He was a good grappler in the featherweight days, I must admit, against the likes of Max Holloway. He was. Sorry. But look, I think he's an underrated grappler. You didn't really see it as of recent, but look, he's got soft. But that's another topic. Damien says, put it this way: people usually get humbled in a loss. Hamzat do good. He got grounded by a win. Yeah, very true. But I think for Hamzat, he should kind of be humble going after this fight. Anyways, I think he's gonna be quite mad at himself that he let that second round slip. I really do. But look, okay. So quick one. We'll go into the last point. Look, it's Hamzat's thoughts on the Colby Covington fight. He said, if that guy don't call the cops and if Dana White don't go to jail, I would be happy to come to the fight and smash his face. Of course, I'd knock him out. So look, there you have it. Hamzat is game for that Colby fight. But the question now is Colby Covington game for that fight? Only time will tell. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm going to head back now to the main screen because those are the talking points for tonight. All right, so, okay, few chats before we leave. I'm as real as about Conor being a great grappler, and I'm about him having great cardio. Okay, yeah, Taylor Wong was being sarcastic, and I've fallen for it. Oh, well. Look, I mean, look, we didn't get to see much of it, really, in matter of fact. I think he'd done well, though, against Max Holloway with blown out knee. I do. Damien said he got a tad too crazy. That's it. He won't make that mistake again. Nah, I don't believe it. I don't think he will either. All right, guys. It's been amazing tonight. We need to wrap this up because time is getting on. You guys have been phenomenal in the chat. And look, that's basically your full recap on all the things UFC 273. Now, don't forget this weekend, you got to join us for another UFC Fight Night watch along. Tonight, this weekend is going to be Vicente Luque taking on Bilal Muhammad in the welterweight division, and that fight is nonetheless going to be fireworks. And put a spanner in the works on who's next in the welterweight division as well. Man, it's looking juicy in the welterweight division. So come along, tune in with us, and if you've liked this video, do hit the thumbs up button as well. Don't forget that. I'm JK, your host as always for the Aftermath shows. Stay tuned for more content, and we'll see you soon. Ciao for now.